Coming up, I did 5 shows in a movie theater. More on that in a little while. And then Kalie is back on the pod. She's going to recap her time actually with me at those shows, as well as give some second opinion life advice on the show. But first, I want to mention a few tour dates. Next week, I'm going to be in Salt Lake City, September 19th. It's a Tuesday. And then the next night, I go to Phoenix at the Tempe Improv, September 20th. And I take a couple weeks off. Then I fly my ass out to Raleigh, North Carolina, October 10th. And then I go to Charlotte, October 11th. Then the week after that, I'm in Cincinnati in Liberty Township, Funny Bone, October 18th. That's a Wednesday. And then I go to Columbus the next night for October 19th. A lot of fun shows coming up. Excited about those. And I'm very excited about this episode. A lot of good stories, a lot of good hang time. Let's get into it. So this weekend, we're back, man. I don't know. I want to give a quick intro. Please like and subscribe. That always helps the show out because it's just me here, dude. Just me and Mike here running a fucking podcast. You know what I mean? And I'm back from the road. I was in Florida for just a long time. You know, what's too long to be in Florida? Who knows? Honestly, I was there Wednesday through Sunday. It's a lot of days. And I did a weekend of shows, which is not super normal yet for me. Normally I'm the one-nighter guy. I'm doing the Wednesday, Thursday, the Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even a Sunday. But this time I did a weekend, 5 shows in Florida. And I was advertising the shows as Tampa, Florida, because it is the Tampa market. But got to be honest, wasn't Tampa. Your boy was not in Tampa. I was in a place called Wesley Chapel, which is about 25 minutes north of Tampa. And you know, I couldn't advertise the shows as like, come see me in Wesley Chapel. People are going to be like, where the fuck, what? Where's that? Was it some Mormon church in Florida? Where are you even going to be at? What's a Wesley Chapel? So I just said Tampa, just to make things easier. And there's 3 different comedy clubs in Tampa, and that's kind of one of them. But it's, you know, it's not exactly in Tampa. So just wanted to just be honest there. And I think, you know, going into the Florida shows, it was kind of either like I do a weekend at this kind of like, you know, not as mainstream club, or I do like a one-night show at a mainstream club like the Tampa Improv. And to me, and I think my agent agreed with me, the better move is to do a weekend of shows, because I get 5 reps of doing, you know, the hour-long headlining set, which, look, I'm not going to sit here and be like I'm the expert of that yet. You know, I just started. This is my first year touring and headlining, so I think getting the 5 reps of that is super helpful and integral to my growth as a comedian. And also just, you know, more opportunity to sell some tickets, because if I do one show on a Wednesday, you know, who knows how many tickets I can sell. But like we talked about on that Michigan episode way back when, 5 opportunities to come see me. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 2 shows Friday, Saturday. So more options, more tickets, and I was all for it. What was interesting is, so this club, it's called Side Splitters. And like I said earlier, there's 3 clubs in Tampa. 2 of them are Side Splitters. And one of them is kind of a bigger club. It seats like 250, and it's closer to Tampa. And the other club is in Wesley Chapel. That's the one I did. And this club was a little bit different than what I expected. I looked up about a week before the shows. I went and looked up the kind of pictures of the venue, so I know what I'm getting myself into. And from the pictures, it looked like it was in a movie theater. And I was like, okay, interesting. Not really what I expected, and I've never heard or seen of that before. But I can only see from like kind of blurry Instagram pictures. So I was like, all right, well, who knows? I don't know what this is going to be like. But, you know, if I'm being completely honest with you guys, which I'm always going to keep it real. I was a little bit like disappointed. I was a little bit kind of less excited for these shows because it was going to be in a sort of an unknown, different type of space. I thought it was going to be like a 150 seat club, right? Like a small, intimate club that was going to be like sick. But it was like this big movie theater looking thing. And I was like, okay, well, you know, I'm maybe 10% less excited, but I'm still going to go there, still going to rock it, and we're going to have fun. Another reason I was a little bit less excited for this trip is because ticket sales just weren't what I thought they were going to be. And the reason for that being, the only other weekend I've done so far is this weekend in Michigan, right? And I sold so many tickets that it made me like reevaluate my life. I sold 900 tickets that weekend, and I was like, oh, I guess this is who I am now. I'm a guy who can sell almost 1,000 tickets in a random market in the summer. Like, hey, nice knowing you guys. I'm a different guy now. That's crazy. But that was the only time I've done that, right? And so when Tampa came along, club seats 150, you know, if I sell at every show, that's like something like 770 tickets. So going into it, I was like, oh, 770 tickets? Oh, that's it? Okay, we're going to have to add shows in this bitch. Not a problem for me. Your boy did 900 in Michigan. See you later. Movie theater? What movie's playing? Me. Let's fucking sell out all these shows, right? That was my plan. And coming into it, dude, it was like I'd sold, I don't know, like 170 tickets or something, like 150. It was like low. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it was a little bit more, but still I was like, this is not what I expected. But there's always the hope, because the last minute ticket sales are always what's going to happen. You can't really gauge a show's tickets until like the day of, really, because so many people buy tickets last minute, right? So I was like holding out hope. Again, nothing I can do. I just have to, be as excited as I can and always do my best. That's my biggest thing, is no matter what the venue is, no matter what the show is, and if you come see me, I will always do my absolute best. I will never phone in a show, ever. No matter what the crowd's like, no matter how many people are there, there could be 6 people. I will still give you a show that is my best, the best quality given the moment, right? I'll never not try my hardest. So even with all these thoughts, I don't want you guys to think I'm going there going to be like, oh, this place sucks. Stupid movie. It's like, no, dude, I'm going to fucking bring it, I stayed in a hotel this time. And the only reason I'm mentioning that is because just a little behind the scenes inside baseball stuff for me is when I'm traveling, I'm actually booking my own hotels and Airbnbs. That's how I've designed my touring. Is the club basically gives me what's called a travel buyout, which is basically like a chunk of money that you use to like book whatever travel you want. And that includes airfare, lodging. I don't think that's called what that's called anymore. That's lodging, right? It just feels like I'm staying in a cabin in the woods, which in Wesley Chapel sounds like I could be. But I stayed in a hotel, and it was a Holiday Inn Express, which underrated, by the way. Great hotel. That's a perfect hotel. Yeah, it's not like 5 stars, but it's nice. All the things you need. It was great. But I've been switching to hotels because Airbnbs, there's too many variables. Too many things can go wrong. There's a door code you got to remember that's always too long. There's, random bedding that could be weird. There's, not blackout curtains. I've had that so many times where I'll go to some Airbnb and in the morning it'll be so fucking bright that you think you're like, hey, am I near the sun? Why is it so, am I in space? Because why is it so bright? And I'm hungover, so I'm just going to maybe just pass away in this Airbnb in Cleveland, right? So I was like, I'm done with these variables, and we broke a door in Atlanta because the key was jammed. It's like, dude, there's no more Airbnbs, and there's no gym. Give me a hotel. So I'm hotels from here on out. Just a little inside baseball for you guys. Getting to Florida was the easiest travel day I've had in a long time. I live in LA, and there's 2 airports. We have the LAX, that's the big one, and then we have Burbank, which is in the valley, which I live about 15 minutes from the Burbank airport. And I don't know if you guys have ever flown in and out of that airport, but it's crazy. It's the tiny, small airport, but you can still get to a lot of places. It's like it's like cheating. The airport's too nice, it's too easy. If you fly in and out of there, you're like, oh, this is ruined for me. This ruins airports for me because of how easy this is. So I flew out of there, and I did Burbank to Austin, and then Austin to Tampa. And, they're both like 2-hour flights. So it's perfect. That's an easy day. It's a lot better than doing like 5 hours on one seat, right? And the Austin airport, not only is it a nice airport, but oh my God, the food is insane. The meal I had in the Austin airport was better than any meal I had in Tampa for the whole time I was there. I was like, I may just stay at I could just come here for the food. I may just catch a flight to Austin airport to grab some grub, to grab some brisket, some coleslaw. Shit was crazy. Was I farting the whole flight? Yeah. Was it worth it? Yeah. It was so good. You know what else happened on the flight also is I had really bad allergies for some reason. I think maybe it was just the air quality of the flight or something, but your boy was struggling, dude. It was like, I was like, sneezing and doing the inhale, get the snot back into your brain thing so it's not out, but you got to like get it, like not in the middle of your nose. You got to get it up. You know what I mean? So I was doing the get it up type of thing. And I did it so much that I saw the woman next to me, like she started shaking her head at me. I was like doing getting it back. And she was just like, she would like glance at me super quick and then shake her head. And and then I had to like try to like first of all, go fuck yourself. You think I have any control over this? I'm not like doing this for fun. This is not what you think, hey, it's way worse for me than it is for you. Okay. You're not trying to snort the snot back into your brain so it doesn't eject out into your mustache like it was me, okay? It's a lot worse for me. Don't fucking shake your head at me. You think I have no control over this, okay? And we already did the flight, by the way. This is at the end of the flight. You're almost done with me, okay? Don't shake your head at me. And it made me self-conscious. So I was trying to not, do the snort thing, but then I'm just like breathing out of my mouth, just trying to like not make it. I mean, dude, it was a whole. I was mad at this woman, but I'm like the least confrontational person, so all these things was in my brain. I didn't say anything.
She's on her podcast right now talking about the guy who gave her COVID on the flight.
Yeah, I know. That was the thing. Also, is I was on the next flight. I was really close to the person next to me to being like, "Hey, I'm not sick. I have allergies." Which, by the way, that's such a sick person thing to say. No, I'm not sick. I promise. These are allergies. It's September. I get fall allergies. Not a thing. So that was annoying. But by the time I got on the next flight, I was good. And so I get to so let me just cut to the show at this point. So we get to the club, and I was right. It is not just in a movie theater, but it's in a movie theater. And Mike, you can cut to the picture right now. Let me show you the setup of the club. So basically, you can tell me when everyone can see it. So here's the setup of the club. For our listeners, you got to just watch the YouTube, honestly. Okay, I don't even know where to start. So the picture on the left is outside of the club. And in the neon letters, it says Side Splitters, as if that's the name of the movie. And that's the name of the club. So it's literally like, oh, Barbie, Transformers comedy club, Avengers. Like, that's what the setup was. And I'm the whole walk in, I'm like, this is fucking what? What is this gonna be? Already like, oh man, I don't know how, kind of just like, oh man, like worried. And the second I get in, I'm like, dude, this kind of rocks. Like, look at the setup. It's kind of dope. They took out the first 3 rows of movie theater seats and put in like comedy club seats with a little table. So and those are 38 seats in the front. It's like a comedy club. And then the rest, they're just regular movie theater seats. And I was like, the minute I stepped on that stage, I was like, wow, this is like kind of dope. It's kind of sick. And sure enough, the shows were fun. There was no part of me that was like, oh, this sucks because it's in a movie. I mean, granted, that was the most time I've spent in a movie theater since I was 16. And the reason I say that is because I worked in a movie theater for about 8-9 months when I was 16. I was like, my first job is I worked in a movie theater, and literally all I did was clean up popcorn for 8 hours. That is all I did. I cleaned up the theaters for 8 hours, and I was on my feet for 8 hours sweeping popcorn. Every little speck of popcorn I see, I swept up, which, by the way, working in a movie theater, it really makes you realize people are fucking pigs. People are piggies. It's people treated a movie theater like that you're outside. Like it's a ballpark. The shit that they leave behind. Dude, one time I saw someone who was eating an ice cream cone. This was a nice theater. Eating an ice cream cone, right? Already questionable decision, right? When they were done with it, you know what they did? They smashed it on the ground, ice cream side down. Just a Neanderthal move. And then little me, 16-year-old me with acne and braces and a unibrow, has to go in and try to clean up a upside-down ice cream cone on a Sunday afternoon. So anyways, I was having a little bit of PTSD being in this movie theater for so long. But again, the shows were like fun. I will say, really only downside of the space is it was very I don't know if we're still looking at this. Well, yeah, we're still looking at the space. That's fine. But it's the ceilings are very high, so it's tough to have the sound really like when you get a big laugh, it doesn't sound the same as if it were like half the size, because the laughs really leave and carry, and none of the shows ended up selling out. I mean, I sold a good amount of tickets, but it wasn't, not every seat was full. So again, the laughs kind of carried, so you didn't have that, like the footage doesn't look like amazing, which is a bummer. The lighting wasn't, we're not in a comedy club, so it wasn't an amazing spotlight. The sound carried a little bit, but those were the only kind of anything negative I were to say about it, because I loved being there. And the staff was so cool. The managers were awesome. The crowds were great. The whole experience was really great. I don't want anyone to think I had I'm like shitting on it. I had a fucking great time. But again, I just want to talk about the space. And Thursday show, we had one show, and I'm not kidding, the whole front row of the theater is not just old people, but like grandmas and grandpas. I'm talking every person in the front row was over 75 years old. And I was kind of like, I mean, who are these people? Like, are these the Facebook fans? It has to be from Facebook or something, because that's where all the old people are. Like, who are these? What is this crew? It was like a squad, dude. They were rolled in deep, right? They just came playing bingo or something. It was nuts, dude. I'm surprised they didn't bring pea soup into the theater, honestly. And I get on stage and I'm basically just being like, hey, what what is happening? By now, actually, I probably posted the clip on Instagram by now. So if you want to see me interacting with the old people, go to my Instagram. But dude, we had so much fun. I like got these old people on my side and we had an absolute blast. And I was really proud of myself because, you know, that's like a pretty bombable show. You go up in front of a bunch of I'm like doing a show for seniors, like at an old folks home, and it went really well. And I am not the guy to tell you a show goes well if it doesn't actually go well. I will, and Kalie will probably tell you the same thing later. I will be the one to be like, it was whatever. And people will be like, bro, you crushed. I'm like, nah, I didn't. But this one was like legit fun. And all those old people, like, you know, we all talked after. They loved me. I think they wished I was like their grandson at that point. It was fun. Turns out they were a group who, by the way, didn't know who I was, which was hilarious for me to be like, to go on stage and be like, hey, do you guys know who I am? They're like, nope. Or actually, sorry, nope. That's a better impression of what they sounded like. And they, sure enough, they were a group called, they were like they do outings together. And the group is called Seniors on the Loose.
Now, is it always comedy, or do they mix it up to like, this is baseball night?
I think that's what it is. And I happen to be the comedian of the Seniors on the Loose comedy night in Wesley Chapel, Florida. But again, had a blast. They were great. It was like arguably my favorite show of the weekend. So the vibes are high. We're feeling good. Friday comes around, not a ton of notes from Friday. It was just, both shows were great. Friday late is always the toughest show, but it was turned out to be like arguably my favorite show was the late show on Friday. The reason the late shows are hard is because, especially Fridays, because people have been working all week, and by the time that Friday comes along, they started drinking at like 5, and if the show's at 9:30, they're already like fucking drunk. So that's always the most wildest show. So you're always kind of dreading Friday late, but that ended up being like my favorite show. I was just feeling super sharp, super locked in. Crowd work's flowing, material was feeling really good, and I was doing all the jokes that I really wanted to be doing. There was no jokes I was doing to like filling time or anything like that. It was all stuff I really wanted to be doing, which is a really good feeling for me at this point. And I started doing this thing this weekend, which I'm still trying to figure out. If I'm zooming out, I always try to figure out what the best mixture of substances is for my brain to be the most the fire the quickest, be the sharpest on stage. For example, like how much coffee do I drink during the day? If I'm smoking weed at night, how much weed do I smoke the night before a show? Or if I'm drinking before a show, how many drinks do I have before the show? Like it's all calculating that stuff out to make sure to give myself the best concoction if I would be my best version of myself on stage. And this weekend I did a little tequila before I got on stage. I did I told them pour me a heavy single, such an alcoholic way to order that, by the way. Are you doing a double? Nah, it's a single, but really kind of. So the motherfucker was glugging me basically with tequila, and I drank a little bit just to loosen up before the show, and it wasn't because of nerves. It was more just to kind of create almost just like a little bit of I don't know how to explain it. Just be a little loose, just like a little bit of loose. Take the edge. I mean, take the edge off. That's such a cliche thing to say, but that's kind of what it was. And I did that before every show, and and then by the end of the weekend, I was like, hey, bro, you just drank so much tequila. And I wasn't drunk on stage, but when you added up all the drinks I had 5 shows, and I was doing like a heavy single before each show. So I'm like, your boy's drinking a lot of tequila. So I don't think that's a very sustainable thing to do. I don't think this is going to be a thing I'm going to always do, but an experiment. Like I've always said, this year is going to be me basically, the year is going to be spent with me figuring out how to be a headliner, how to be a headlining comedian. And that's another part of it. It's just, what's your pre-show routine? Some people smoke weed before they go on stage. Everyone has their thing. So that was my thing. And it, so far with the first 3 shows, I was like 3 for 3 on shows. So I was like, maybe I'm a tequila guy. Who knows? And then Saturday comes along, and and Kalie arrived, by the way. So Kalie came to the shows. If you're new to the podcast, that's my lovely girlfriend who you'll meet in a couple minutes. She's from Tampa. And so she came, a little bit of hometown trip for her. She arrived Friday. And so she was at the shows Friday and at the show Saturday. So we're going to hear her thoughts on them. But it was great having her there. Always is. She's seen me in every different version of myself, the highs, the lows, every possible thing. And so she always will offer good insights on shows. It's nice to have someone in my corner for if I'm feeling a certain way, because she's very, honest and objective and will tell me what I need to hear. And so it's nice to have her there. Always is. And so Saturday shows weren't as good as the Friday. The early shows, Saturday early is always like kind of known as maybe the strongest show, but it wasn't the strongest. It was a very slow start. It was packed, but it was one of those slow starts that I was doing. Like, I do a lot of strong material up front to get, the crowd really on my side and to trust me. But the crowd was like not really giving it up for me, and I was getting like annoyed in my head. I was like, hey guys, you gotta be better than this. I didn't say this, but I was like, in my head, I was like, you're no way. You're gonna make me work this hard on an early show? Come on, man. Be with me more. Sure enough, I got him on my side, but it took like a little bit more work than I was prepared for. The only funny thing that happened not the only funny thing that happened, but a notable thing that happened on the Saturday early show is I saw a pregnant woman in the front row, and I don't think I've ever had that before. And so I was like, okay, well, I have to say something about this. And I asked her, I was like, oh, are you pregnant? And the second I said that, I was like, oh, fuck, what if she's not pregnant? Like, what a risk this just was. Sure enough, she was, and we had a fun moment, and I'm probably going to post that clip, but I was like, whoa, dude, what a crate, I don't know how else to, because you want to talk to, there's a lot of good questions you can ask someone who's pregnant, but still, it's like, you almost got to, like, have them say it, or something like that, because if she's not, I've lost the whole audience. She's like, nope, I just got a belly, and I'm like, okay, sorry, I didn't think, it's like, I'm digging out of that hole for the next fucking half hour. So luckily she was. So that's just to know for next time. Maybe just use my best judgment, I don't know. But first time that happened, and it worked out well, but it was a risk. And then the late show, dude, that was the tough one. Saturday late, tough show. Drunk, chatty, annoying, mad. A lot going on that show. There was so my buddy Anthony, who opened for me, he was on stage, and I always pop in during the opener's set to see what's going on, check the vibe of the room, because usually I know my openers very well too. If they get a certain laugh on a certain joke, I will know what the crowd is like. And oftentimes I'm like, oh, cool, that joke did that. Oh, great, the crowd's gonna be awesome, right? Or vice versa. You're like, oh, that was okay. Well, looks like I have some work ahead of me, which it's always gonna be a little easier for me because I'm the guy they're here to see. But still, you like to know the vibe, because also on a weekend, plenty of people there that didn't know me. When you do a one-nighter on a Wednesday or whatever, really cool hand motions I'm doing here. If you're doing a one-nighter on a Wednesday, mostly people are there for you, because you don't go out on a Wednesday just to go out on a Wednesday. It's pretty rare. So on a weekend, you get a lot of people who just go to the comedy club, which is good when you're a weekend headliner, because you can get a lot of new fans that way, right? So again, there was always a few people that didn't know who I am, and boy, they were giving it to Anthony during his set, bro. He could barely get a word in edgewise. These people were like dominating the show. There was like 3-4 different pockets of people that were chiming in to the point that he was like, at the one point he was just like, I'm just gonna open it up to you guys, I guess. Like, he was getting real frustrated, and I was like, oh boy, like what's I thought it's turned into like almost like a Q&A thing at that point. It was pretty gnarly. And so I went up there, and like quickly I was like, I don't stand for that shit. So I went up there, I was like, hey guys, we ain't doing that for me. This whole Q&A town hall meeting bullshit, we ain't doing that for me. We're tightening this ship up, right? I'm a different guy. And they made me battle for that whole show. I was like almost doing crowd control. Like I overall, it was a good show, but it was like, say something, chime in. And I'm like, hey, stop. No, chime in. Hey, you guys gotta stop. And I'm doing it in kind of a funny way, like, hey, I got it from here, or hey, ladies, I don't need your opinions, or saying it nicely, but it was a lot, dude. I was like, some crowds, I don't understand why they do this. People feel like they have to fill the space if there's a moment of silence. And I mean a moment of silence not in a sad way. I mean in just if I'm taking a beat to like chill for 3 seconds, someone will always be like, "Sound fucking funny. It's funny. You're late." It's like, bro, just let me chill for a second, right? So that was one of those shows where everyone in any silence, they felt like they had to fill it, which was so annoying. And at one point, I had one where I was like, I told someone to shut up in like not a funny way. I was like, hey, you guys got to stop talking. And then I like kept going or whatever. And the club was doing a good job of talking to the people, going up and, hey, you can't, but I was working, right? And I was very happy because it ended up being a good show overall, even though if it was the toughest one. But the manager was very nice. He was like, yeah, man, it was a little like touch and go there in the middle because they were getting so crazy. But you really, and this is his words, not mine. He was like, you really like, were crushing by the end. And so that's all I needed. I was just happy with that. I was able to control the show, handle it professionally, and end up having a good set. That's a big win. And goes back to what I'm saying is it's all about learning. It's all about going through these experiences. And had I done, one show on a Wednesday, it would have been a lot different if I did 5 shows in some random movie theater in Florida. That's what'll make me grow. That's what's going to make me get better as a comedian. So I was very thankful for the opportunity from everybody involved. And it was just really it was a successful weekend. I've ticket sales, I think I ended up selling like about 370 tickets over the weekend, and that's great. That's a lot of tickets, and it was a great victory. And I had to remind myself, what I was doing at the beginning of the year and where I'm at now. And there's moments where I think, because you get insecure when you're a comedian. You think you're like, am I, do I still, we all have moments like once a month that we're like, is it over? Or am I done? Do people care anymore? And so there's always been moments of where I think that. And it's nice to kind of have more of a sample size now, some tickets. And, so now I have these crazy extremes of a weekend where it's like Royal Oak, I sold 900, and this one I sold, almost 400. So the next weekend is going to be in Boston in November. 17th and 18th, 3 shows. The Saturday early is like tickets are flying, so that's good. But again, then that'll be more of maybe more glimpse into what I can do for weekends. So, anyways, if you came out to those shows, thank you for coming. I had such a great time, such a great experience. I love being in that theater. Shout out to Side Splitters. It's a great club. Everyone was so cool, and yeah, man, I'll be back in Florida in October doing Orlando, the makeup hurricane show. If there's another hurricane, I'm just never going to Orlando again. We're gonna take a quick break, and Kalie's gonna be here. We're gonna talk more about the shows and also give some life advice, some second opinion that you guys submitted. So we'll be right back. We're back, and my lovely, beautiful girlfriend Kalie's here, and I gotta be honest, you look a little bit different. You just come back from the airport, and I don't know what happened on the flight, but you look a little different, a little more, I don't know how to describe, like a little more like, I don't know, something changed. Like, I don't want to say like more distinct characteristics have been, I don't know, maybe a little, do you do something with your eyebrows maybe?
I did get my eyebrows done.
You did? Yeah.
I don't normally wear glasses.
Maybe it's the glasses that it's kind of throwing me off here. Yeah. And did you do, and then, yeah.
Same old.
Well, you honestly look beautiful.
Thanks,
like
man.
more than usual almost. It's like something about it, it's kind of doing it for me.
Let's get out of here. I don't need to finish this vlog.
Welcome back to the fucking podcast. You're back.
I'm back.
You're back. Your triumphant return.
I just got back.
You literally landed. How long ago were you at the airport? And we are pretty far from the airport. How long were you at the airport? How long ago were you at the airport?
An hour ago.
Hour ago? Yeah. How did everything go with the flights and everything? I mean, I also haven't seen you since you got back, so it's like our first I hugged and kissed you and we're like, let's do the podcast. Real quick before you say that, I do want to mention, if you hear any sort of tapping or panting, it's not my toenails on the carpet. That's Kalie's beautiful dog Snail, who is in the studio right now. My stepdaughter, her actual daughter, she birthed her. As just as hairy as you almost, with the mustache and glasses, with not normally, you're a dolphin normally. So yeah, if anyone listeners hear some odd noises, that's Snail, which hopefully she'll pop in at some point. And but how are you feeling from the airport? You feeling okay?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Yep.
Pretty tired.
Yeah.
Pretty tired
because you're 3 hours ahead right now, because we were both in Florida, and you stayed there for an extra day to hang out with family. Mm-hmm. But you're here, and I really appreciate you being here, because I know it's a lot to do straight from the podcast. You can take the thing. I don't know how long you're gonna take it off for. Oh fuck! Damn, you look good.
Thanks, baby.
Whoa. And I feel like your last time here was a smash hit. And you know what we have to do since you're back, right? We have to do some would you rathers.
Oh yeah.
So I have a couple would you rathers here.
Okay.
You ready for them?
I think so. I wasn't expecting this.
I know, I'm surprising you.
Okay.
Because there's nothing to plan for,
Right.
So would you rather? We'll start. We'll just ease into it. Save some crazy ones for a second. Would you rather be the star player on a losing team, or warm the bench on a championship team? Meaning, like, you're the worst player on a championship team, or the best player on a shitty team?
The second one.
So you are.
I want to be the worst player on the best team.
Tell me why.
Because there's always room for growth.
Ooh.
I really like the quote, like if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, go to another room. So if you're like the best person in a team, there's like no room for growth, I guess, or like that kind of like competitive like drive, whatever. No,
But you're like barely playing though. Like you got like a championship ring by association.
I'm still getting a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say best player on a bad team because it's a bit of a loophole because then you can get traded to a better team. Because if you show your skills and you're like, I'm a beast.
When you mention loopholes.
I mean, it's not even a loophole. That's just a fact. I don't know, Mike. Can you back me up on that? You know what I mean? It's like you can show your skills off because you have more playing time, and then you get traded to a good team.
But you could also get traded to a bad team.
Or yeah, that's also a good point. So you don't know, but I'd rather take the risk and ball the fuck out than just sit there and go, "Yay, good job, LeBron! High five!
Yeah,
I'll get you next time."
If I'm a bad player, am I getting bad contracts like Pippen? Or
He watch one episode of Last Dance. Yeah, you're definitely getting a bad. You were so pumped on that reference. You were like, "Oh fucking!" As soon as Will stops yapping, I'm gonna drop this hard Scottie Pippen reference.
I'm into sports.
I'm just like a sports gal, you know. I'm just like one of the guys. I love when you do. I love you. My favorite impression you do is the pick me girl. What's like
impression?
What's the pick me girl?
I don't know.
No, you're always
just like I don't know. Like I don't even know how girls wear makeup sometimes. It's like I never wear makeup and like I don't even know how to put it on, you know? It's like I don't know how they like wear all that and they like look so pretty. Like I'm sure I'd look so pretty if I wore makeup, but I just don't. I guess I don't need to wear makeup. I don't really like believe in like I feel like I like an all natural look, you know. I'm just like one of the guys.
It's really good. Yep. No, don't cry. That's one of my favorite impressions you do. You taught me what a pick me girl is. I said it very quickly. It sounds like pygmy, which that could be something different. But that's a pick me girl. I have another would you rather for you.
Okay.
Would you rather show up to a job interview with stained pants or pit stains?
What are the stains?
That's a really good question because I hadn't really thought that far. So let's go both. Okay, let's say for the pants, you don't know what the stain is. It's not shit. Like it's not brown. You're not like, well, they shit their pants, but there's something there. Pit stains are pit stains, right? But like I'm talking pit stains, like on a dark gray shirt. Like, yo, this dude is nervous. Or some unknown stain on your pantalones.
Okay. I'm going with a pants stain.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping it's a Zoom interview.
Oh fuck! Good loophole. Damn it! What are you, Scottie Pippen?
Well, I think I also choose this because I think sweat maybe indicates that you're really nervous and like it's very evident, like you can see it. It's all top half. But if they catch a stain on my pants, they're looking a little too hard.
Oh yeah.
And also could be just mustard. I was really feeling really confident about that interview.
Okay.
I just crushed
a hot dog in your car.
I showed up stains like I don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't even change my pants.
Wow.
I know I'm gonna get this.
Or are they thinking this fucking slob? Like,
Maybe.
why don't they change their pants? But you'd rather take that risk than like this gal is very nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I think I agree with you. But you got it. If you have a stain on your pants, though, you almost got it. You got to like back out of the room or something. You got to like, nice to meet you, and just bye. Like, which is arguably a worse thing than if you fucking backwards moonwalk out of the interview is arguably worse than if you.
Or could get you the job.
Or he's like, this dude's got style. He's got moves. He could definitely run this company. All right, I feel good about that. Here's now let's get juicy. Would you rather? Well, I'm excited about these. Would you rather walk in on your parents or have them walk in on you? And what we're talking about is...
Brushing our teeth?
No. You're brushing something else with your teeth.
What?
It's sex. I'm talking about sex.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So would I rather walk in on my... Well, it'd be really weird to see my parents having sex because they haven't
Sure
been
would.
together in a really long time.
Oh, okay. Well, the more so...
I'd be like,
okay.
First of all, I haven't seen you guys in the same room. And second, this is... really weird.
I'd be like, guys, you're back together. It's like Parent Trap. It's like the porn version of the porn parody of Parent Trap. Wow, you guys are together. This is the best day of my life. Also the worst day.
To join in.
No.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Oh man.
This week actually.
Oh no. So what do you think this is a tough one.
Which I'd probably, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't benefit me or hurt me either way.
Could hurt. Definitely hurts
I'd
you.
probably rather
Both are bad.
I'd rather them see me. I think just one aesthetically, it's probably a lot more exciting.
Yeah, it is. I definitely would rather be walked in on, because I don't have to worry about trying to unsee that. Because once you walk in on your parents, you don't. Like, if you don't, you'll forever have that in your brain, unless you like eternal sunshine yourself. You'll forever have that memory, and that's pretty traumatic. If they walk on you, like, they got to deal with that trauma. You know, it's just embarrassing for me. Oh no! But then, then it's over.
So you wouldn't mind, like, doesn't matter what position you're in, no matter how exposed, you'd be more comfortable just not seeing them.
Yep. I think I just have it. It's fine. We'll get past it, and it's not really that bad for me. It's embarrassing, but they got to be like, ugh, damn, just saw that. He's killing it though. Also,
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Maybe this is like the first time my dad ever tells me he's proud of me.
No.
Maybe he's like, I will be in your life.
This changes everything for me. You really got some skills. Wow, you really are moving all around here. That's really impressive.
That's my girl.
That's my girl. Didn't expect you to keep the fake nose and mustache on during sex either. But that was a really interesting move.
Just like her mother.
All right. Last one. This is a tough one for you.
Yeah, right.
Watch. You ready?
Gimme.
No sex ever.
No. Other one.
Or
the other one.
Get ready. No. Listen. No sex or no sweets. I'm talking no ice cream, no cookies, no milkshakes, no chocolate covered banana things from Trader Joe's. I'm talking no sweets, no soda, no nothing. You can have naturally occurring sugar and like ketchup, but no desserts, no treats, or no sex.
Does no sex include no cuddling, no foreplay, no hand jobs?
Yeah, no, definitely no hand jobs.
No upstairs.
We'll do one last hurrah for me, but that's about it.
How come you get a last hurrah?
Cause
what about me?
You said no. You picked Oreos. No, yeah, no cuddling is fine. Foreplay's, but foreplay can't be anything too wild. Everything has, there's no.
No. Can I be turned on?
Sure.
Can we tickle each other?
We can. Yes, we can tickle each other.
I don't know.
I know. That's why it's hard.
Because I'm like, what if my answer's like, well, I can't live without sweets.
I would not be upset either. I would not be upset either way. Because this is meant to be a really hard question.
See, this is harder for me than it is for you, and I don't appreciate that. So we're going to switch sweets to something else. Like
No,
playoffs.
You can't switch the would you rather. No,
well,
playoffs.
You don't even like sweets.
I love sweets. Don't talk to me like that. You know how much I love ice cream sandwiches from Trader Joe's.
I'm not giving up sex.
The ones with the chocolate chip cookies and the vanilla and then the chocolate chips inside of the ice cream? That's better than sex.
Yeah. You're right.
No.
So
what's your
answer?
Let's
go get some of those right now.
What's your answer? What would you give up? Sex or sweets? And let's say last disclaimer is for reproductive purposes. Like you'd have to be like artificially pregnated.
This sucks.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's a hard one.
Well, it's like in a world where I don't have sweets, but I have a lot of sex. It'd probably be really hot. I'd be super healthy and just active.
Mm-hmm. Your parents keep walking on you.
Yeah. Am I giving up sex for myself or also my parents' sex?
They're not involved.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they're dealing with the trauma of watching you just crushing it in the bedroom.
But if I don't have sex for the rest of my life and I'm only eating sweets, that's just sad. That's like
you're right. Yeah,
what am I,
put it that way.
Bachelor, like what?
It sounds like the whale. It sounds sad. It's a tough call.
It's Brendan Fraser at that point. Yeah, I'm giving up sweets.
Yeah, I as well would give up sweets. Because that also is probably like really good for you too. If you're doing a lot of sex, no sweets, I mean, you're just an athlete at that point. We would both look awesome.
Yeah.
You still look amazing, but I'm saying like if we were both just like eating crazy healthy and stuff like that, we'd be machines. So yeah. Tough one though, right? Mm-hmm. I designed that for you specifically because I knew that was gonna be a really hard one.
About you even asking me that I even had to think about.
Sorry.
I even had to consider those really harsh realities.
I know. Sorry.
No.
It was a hard game.
Yeah.
It was a hard game. So now I wonder if we can hear. Can we hear Snail snoring in the mics at all? It's really cute. She does this thing where at home, in Kalie's apartment, that she specifically seeks out cords to sleep on, and I don't know why. Right now she's sleeping on like one of the power cables for the battery in the camera, and this makes so much sense because at home she sleeps on like iPhone chargers for no reason. It's like it can't be comfortable. It's like underneath her. Imagine sleeping in your bed and the cord is like across your body. You'd be like, you would sleep like that because you wouldn't even know. But speaking of sleeping, I'm so glad I remembered this. So we were in Florida and you were talking in your sleep.
Oh no.
And I wrote down what you said.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is it good or bad?
I mean, if it was that bad, I wouldn't be reading it. No, it's very silly. So just to give some context, this was Friday night, and it was we went out so we stayed at. When you arrived, we stayed at the Hard Rock. I didn't talk about it on the solo part. I figured I'd save it all this for this. We stayed at the Hard Rock in Tampa. Your mom gets some crazy deals there, and so we got to stay at the Hard Rock for free, and it was awesome. Shout out to your mom for those rooms. For the room, we didn't have fucking a whole floor. And so we did a little. Anthony came with us. Your sister was there, and we did a little casino night. It wasn't too crazy. It was so late. We were all like so tired at that point. You had just flown in, and so we didn't do a whole lot. But when it got late, I drove Anthony back to the hotel, and so I got back to our hotel. Sorry, this is being so confusing. He was still staying at the Holiday Inn. I'm gonna slow down. And so by the time I got back to the Hard Rock, you'd been asleep, and it was like 3. Right, so you'd been asleep. And the first thing that was funny is that I knew you were gonna be asleep, and I walked in the room, and your eyes were wide open in the bed, and I was like, "There's no way she's still up." American Dad was on TV, but I was like, "There's no fucking way she's awake." I know you. That's crazy. And I was like, "Did the door wake you up?" And you were like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, you were just like awake?" And you were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I thought you woke up by the door." No, I'm like, "What are you doing?" You're like, "I'm just laying here." And first question, do you remember that conversation at all?
No, not at all.
No further questions. So I think the door did wake you up, and you're in denial, which I don't know why.
I don't even think I was awake.
Your eyes were wide open.
Terrifying.
Tell me about it. But I thought you were like watching. But the fact that you were watching TV, there's no way. It was so late, and so the door definitely woke you up, and you were just like, "Nope, I've been up. What are you up to? Where you just come from? I'm just chilling, waiting for you." It was such a funny moment. And so you fell back asleep. I was just doing random stuff on my computer, and at one point you pretty much woke. And I saved this. I did not talk to you about this yet. So you woke up and you said, and you were like, "Hello." And I was right there. I was like, "Oh, I'm right here." And you were like, and I knew you were like asleep. You weren't awake, and you were like, And I wrote this down. This is what you said. You were like, "That's the last of the haters."
I didn't say that.
And I said, "Oh, okay, yeah." And you said, "All these people are out of the room." Yeah. And then you said, "No more.
Oh no, what was going on?
Good night." And then you went back to sleep. And I literally wrote it down as you were saying it. I wrote that down. So that's exactly what you said. What's going on?
What did we do?
I don't know. So you have no recollection of that?
No.
Yeah.
None.
Yep. You just briefly woke up to.
It was a hater-free zone.
Oh, yo, get these haters out of the room, bro. Get these fucking.
Wow.
Yeah. And you don't sleep talk a lot. That's my job.
Never. Yeah.
I'm the sleep talker. But yeah, you were like, no more people are here. I was like, who is here? Is that why you're awake when I walked in? All because all the haters just
Oh
left?
my God, burn it with fire at that point.
You were really out. You were just like, no more. Yeah.
I'm concerned about what was going on in my
I
subconscious.
know. But you don't remember anything, so I'm sure it was
Trapped in
okay.
a room full of haters and
Yeah.
just needed to get out of there.
They were out of there. It's like a rap lyric. All the haters in the room, get out or whatever. Yeah. How do you feel about this?
I don't know how to feel about this.
I know.
I'm glad you saved that.
Me
You
too.
surprised me with it.
I know.
I'm gonna talk to my therapist about this.
I didn't know you had so many haters. Well, again, just for the people who don't know, I do, from your experience, I sleep talk quite a bit. And what do I like? What do I like when I sleep talk and stuff?
You do a lot of negotiating. You're always just in the midst of like a real serious conversation, like really trying to get your point across, not using actual English words.
And it like wakes you up, right?
Yeah. And it freaks me out because I'll be laying awake and you're just having this whole conversation with someone else, but you're asleep and I get chills feeling like you're possessed or something.
So now that you're back from Florida, I want to hear. So I just gave, before this, I obviously gave my recap of all the shows, did my whole thing. And I obviously want to hear your thoughts because you were there for both shows Friday and the early show Saturday.
Yeah.
So I want to get your overall thoughts, your overall takeaways from just being there.
My overall thoughts, I mean, objectively, I don't know how you explained it, but just to give kind of some context, every show that Will does, he kind of like beats himself up about it one way or another.
Told you.
But from an objective standpoint, I and other people always observe that he does a really good job. And so, at least from the shows that I saw this weekend, I thought that people really enjoyed it. There were some people that were cackling so hard in the audience that they were like almost coughing to the point where I was like, yo, they need to go to the emergency room. But the whole time, it was like every bit got them. Venue was really cool.
Yeah, so I definitely talked about it was a very different type of venue. And like, so you've been to a lot of comedy clubs at this point. What did you think of the space?
It was cool. I like the theater vibe. It's a little different.
Yeah.
A little confusing for people that are trying to show up for a comedy show because even my mom was like, it took me to a theater.
Yeah, it took me to a movie theater. This is the wrong location. Yeah.
But really interesting little place for comedy. Lots of seats, very comfy. They had food. They had concessions.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty solid.
Yeah. I don't think there's any club that's like that. I think that's the only one there's no way that was in a movie theater. So, yeah. Any other thoughts from? I appreciate you saying that. Was very. By the way, thank you for saying that. I always appreciate you saying that. And I'm glad you said it because it's nice for other people to get, because you obviously know me better than anybody in the world outside of like my parents, and it's nice to have just like an honest perspective about me because I don't. It's my perspective is always going to be, me beating myself up or noticing every little thing. So it's just nice to hear someone who's like very close to me, but is viewing it as from an outside perspective, So I appreciate you saying that. It's very nice. Yeah. Any other thoughts from just
that I wasn't present for the last show. And I know the last show like was kind of wild, kind of a bummer. So I almost wish I was there to like witness how it went down.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I just came back after like in pretty like, I wouldn't say in rough shape, but I was like exhausted when I got back to like the room. I was like, because it's really, I didn't talk about this on the first part, but it's really hard to end the weekend on a bad show, and it was not a bad show, but it was just a tough show. It took a lot out of me, so it's hard to leave on that note with having such positivity and to have this wild battle on the last show. It was so. I remember I just walked in the room and just like fell into your arms. I was so exhausted. And it just was such a long weekend. It just takes a lot out of you doing that many shows. And, it looks very, they're just being silly and doing like dick jokes and laughing and but it's just like, it's like hard work, and, I really feel like I put in a lot of work this weekend. So I feel like I was like, when I got done, I really just like collapsed. I was like so exhausted and just.
It's especially crazy when you have two shows in one night. Cause I watch you go through like the mental energy it takes to like get in the zone for a show, and then you're like still kind of like putting your set together in your head, and you go up and you do an entire hour of all this material, and like I'm sure your like voice is like hoarse after a while, and then like as soon as you're done you wait for like maybe 30 minutes and you have to jump right back into it and just do it all over again.
And especially
nuts.
Yes, and I appreciate you noticing that, and it's true, and especially when it's gonna and then I go watch Anthony's set and there's like 5 different people yelling shit out, so now I'm like, with all that, now I know it's gonna be a wild show, so I'm like, now it's like I'm already exhausted. Now I'm like, I gotta get myself together and I gotta like battle now. So it was a tough way to end, but I appreciate what the manager said at the end of just how I really like got him at the end, and it's a great show, but it was tough. And another I wasn't going to say this, but I'll say it anyways. It's interesting because, with the internet following nowadays, a lot of people, internet personalities have now started doing stand-up, and they come to these clubs and they don't have much of an act because they didn't come from stand-up. They came from doing internet stuff or YouTube videos, and now they start to do stand-up, and they're not like super good at it yet because they haven't just put in the work, which is totally fine. But if they go do it, it's like you have to know that how hard it is. And I think a lot of clubs, when an internet personality comes, they're kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. My thing was like Will Burkart from TikTok. And so,
oh yeah, I noticed that.
yeah, it's so many like just random YouTubers and TikTok viral people that are just, and so these clubs are like, oh, here's another TikTok guy. And so I think it's fun to then go up and, I've been doing stand up for 9 years and these people are like, oh, cool. He's like an actual stand up. And that's what that manager was saying, that he was like, oh yeah, you can tell you actually have like, some actual stand up chops, which is great because we never know some of these internet people. So
Right.
that was really cool. And something that makes total sense too. People are getting headlining dates without ever really doing stand up. And then the crowd comes and they,
Yeah, that's me. I headline the Improv in like 2 weeks.
which improv are you headlining?
Irvine.
Irvine, really? That's a big room.
Hey, you want to open for me?
Can I?
I've been working on a solid just like a quick 5, maybe like 8. Maybe I'll do 8.
So you're headlining with an 8-minute set?
Yeah.
What do you do for the rest of the 30?
Crowd work.
Oh, just crowd work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That should go well. What's a good crowd work question? What's something you're gonna ask? Hey.
What's your deepest, darkest fear?
Ooh, funny.
No. What was the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to you? This is like my crowd work in therapy.
Yeah, it just sounds like you doing therapy. Which also,
so what's the pattern?
which also people are new to the podcast. Also, you're a therapist. You're a working therapist. I mean, you came on way back when, so I don't know. There could be some new people by then, so they don't know that you're
Back
a therapist.
when I was young and at my peak.
Oh, stop. The peak thing. God. Well, those are great takeaways. I all the nice stuff really does mean a lot, and you always give good insights and give good advice, which is why I want to do a little second opinion advice segment with you. We haven't done a lot of this,
Nope.
for various reasons, but we want to open it up to people to basically submit. I'm calling the segment second opinion, because if you maybe need some advice on something, it's not just advice, it's more so like a second opinion. Maybe you're thinking about, oh, I made a decision to do something, or I'm having conflict with the person or something. I need a second opinion on this whole thing. And so we're taking the questions on just the Instagram page's DM. So if you have a second opinion thing, just DM at Will Be Podcast, and I'll read it on here and try to give some advice. We have 2 I want to do today. One is comedy related, one is not. And so I'm gonna do the not comedy related first, and then we can do the comedy one second. Okay. So I will always keep these anonymous, unless stated otherwise, because I want to respect your guys' privacy. So this one's kind of more so for you since you're here. Hi, Will. Continuing to love the podcast. I have a second opinion question. I was wondering if you had any advice on how to deal with crippling social anxiety.
Whoa. So
I'm going to start because you're going to have a much more thought out answer to this. The only thing I would think, well, I mean, that's also like undervalued how hard that is. Social anxiety is really hard. Mm-hmm. I've definitely experienced some of it myself. Usually, it'll be on the way home. I'm like, oh, I hated how I acted. I hated that I said that, or I don't like how I presented myself. I can be kind of hard on myself in social situations and to your point, I feel like ever since the quarantine, I think a lot of people have struggled with that. And so I definitely think it's an undervalued thing that's hard. And so I think what I would say with how to deal with that is, I think, take small steps. I think do kind of small ways to put yourself out there, and then slowly get more comfortable with being more social. I think I say just like take it slow. Don't do crazy exposure therapy kind of thing where you just go to like a crazy party that makes you really scared. It's not like a roller coaster. I feel like this is more of a thing that you can kind of ease your way into. So maybe like first step can be go get coffee with someone, maybe reach out to an old friend and go get coffee. And then you're like, cool. And then maybe next week do like a meal or something a little bit longer, and then maybe the next week someone invites you to a party, and maybe go and give yourself like and I haven't thought about this before. This is truly, I'm just thinking about this now. Maybe give yourself like, I'm going to be at the party for an hour. I'm going to give myself an hour at this party. And maybe even make them an excuse that I have to leave, right? So I don't have to worry about being at the party for too long, because I even worry like that. You go somewhere, you're like, how long am I going to be here for? So maybe give yourself an out. You're like, oh, I'm going to go for 30 minutes. So stop by for 30 minutes, and then I'm out of there, right? And if you do that, pat yourself on the back and be like, that was great. And then maybe next time do an hour. Maybe next time do a beach day with someone. That's an even longer day. So I think my advice would be taking small steps to try to help your anxiety.
It's a beautiful answer.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great. Yeah.
I hope that's okay that I went first. I went first just because I feel like you would give maybe like almost better in a way, kind of better advice almost. So I want to just kind of go first.
No, I got nothing. Yeah, no, I think I thought about it in two parts. Dealing with social anxiety, like one, I think about like the thoughts. So like in CBT, we pay a lot of attention to what kinds of thoughts we're having, how we are engaging with those thoughts, and what those thoughts are leading to. So having to build a lot of awareness around like, what are the typical thoughts I'm noticing myself having when I'm in these social situations? Is it, oh, well, what if they're judging me? Or what if they're thinking something about my appearance that's negative? Or kind of like assessing like, are these thoughts helping me in these situations? Or are they making me feel more anxious? What's a good way I can kind of reframe the way I approach the way I think about these social situations to make myself feel more a little like empowered? So like, you know, oh, I could say something embarrassing, but even if I do, that's like totally fine.
Yep.
And this person's not gonna like think anything negative about me, and even if they do, then that has more to say about them than it does about me. Just kind of being able to like see these situations as not being so serious. And then the second part I was thinking is like the action of like you said, like challenging the anxiety by in very small incremental steps, kind of doing these little mini exposures, like getting your practice in with like having these social situations. And the person that asked this said they have crippling social anxiety. So my thought is that they'd even have to start way smaller, of like even just go make eye contact with two people today and smile at them. Like, you know, like say hello to a stranger today. And they might have to like really work their way up to the point where they're like even, you know, calling someone on the phone, ask them to go get coffee or something. But
Yeah.
that's my answer.
It's really good. It's really good. All good advice.
Snail looks so cute right now.
I know Snail looks very cute, and I feel like before the end of the episode we have to have her just pop her head into like just grab her head into. Well, she's not going to be the last time she'll be here. She'll be here again, but
She loves that bed.
last question here. So so this person writes in Will with like so many L's. I'm loving your podcast and real talk about being a comedian. It's my dream someday to become a comedian, and just signed up for some adult comedy classes. I've done a couple on a weekend before and loved it, but then life got in the way. Anywho, a couple questions I thought of for the podcast. Number one, have you ever been sued for any content you have used for your show or other work? No. I can't imagine what I would be sued for. The only thing I can think about is showing someone's face on a crowd work video.
Yeah,
That's
for
the
sure.
only thing
Absolutely. Yeah.
I could picture, which being sued is wild for something like that. Do you even have a case?
It's interesting that they asked like if you've specifically been sued versus like being canceled for something, or like
Yeah, being canceled is way more realistic. Yeah, I don't know. I think
comedy malpractice.
yeah, like what do you just because you suck? I'm suing this guy.
Bad crowd
Why?
work.
'Cause he's bad. I thought he was gonna be funny and he wasn't. I'm suing him for my $67 check
Yeah,
that I
I gotta
spent.
get my money back for these tickets because I didn't laugh once.
I mean,
Jokes were
I bet there's been a lot of people who have tried to get their money back because the comedian sucked before. But being sued, I can't imagine.
I wonder what comedians have gotten sued for. I guess just stealing jokes count.
But I don't even think you can be sued for that. There's been multiple like notable cases of joke stealing, quote unquote, with very notable comedians. But there's never been like a lawsuit. It's only been just. It's almost worse is that you make it known that this person's a joke thief and they're like kind of outed by the what's the right word? They're like like a scarlet letter on their community. You're like, ooh, that
Ostracized.
Ostracized, exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. It's fucking smartest guy in the room over there. Let's go. So that's what's worse than being sued. But I can't imagine. I know a comedian who posted some crowd work stuff with and the person reached out and was like, "Can you please take this down? I'm getting a lot of like weird comments and messages and stuff." So, but again, being sued, I get sued for that.
No.
Second question is this is a good one. Did you have other jobs while being a comedian when you first started? And what's your salary range from then to now? Not going to say how much I make now. That's crazy. But did I have any other jobs?
Embarrassing.
Yeah, because it's so sad. Just kidding. Did I have any other jobs? I had so many jobs. I've had so many jobs being a comedian because I started when I was 21. And at the time I was working, I was in college. And then after that, I first moved to LA. I worked at Banana Republic, or just working retail, folding sweaters. pretty tough. And I worked also, more excitingly, at Universal as a tour guide. I was on the tram doing the tour guide thing. Was an amazing experience. Did it for not super long. I think I did it for like a summer and a winter because those are the busiest months. There's like they hire so many tour guides, and so based off seniority, those are people who get all the shifts. They'll be like legit like older people who work there. They've been there for like 20, 30 years, so they get all the best shifts. And so as a new hire, I would only work summer and like winter because those are the busiest times. So I would work like the crazy summer times and then like the winter wonderland stuff, and it was a really I'm very grateful for that experience. That was an amazing, like, once in a lifetime thing that I don't think about enough. Just the fact that I had this giant tram of people that I'm entertaining, and the binder of information that you would learn and memorize was, I'm not joking, this thick.
That's your set.
It was a set, and it was
practice.
a ton of stuff to memorize. It was a ton of hard work. We did the tour for like all day for like weeks. Like I've done the tour with like King Kong, Fast and Furious, the Jaws. I mean, like every day for hours in the summer heat. It was intense. You did a month of training, like full time. You were at like a full time month of training, because then you're just by yourself. You're on which is really scary because you're on a tour bus of all these tourists, and it's just you on a Britney Spears microphone alone with a driver who's not even paying attention to what's going on.
And you could just be butchering all these facts.
100%, absolutely. Do you know the comedian Adam Ray? I don't know if you know him.
Oh, I know Adam.
Well, don't say it like that. Like you went on a few dates with him.
We go way back.
He was a Universal tour guide also, and I think he had a joke in his act a while ago where he said he would like make up facts to tourists and stuff. He was like, "Oh, this is where Al Pacino like filmed Bushes. This bush right here is where Al Pacino filmed Bushes 1 and Bushes 2." You know, so yeah, he kind of had staked the claim as the Universal guy. And then I worked for a couple startups. I worked for 3 or 4 different startups. One of them being Uber, the corporate office of Uber in LA. And I worked a lot of startup jobs. No one really knows this, by the way. I've never really talked about this in any sort of podcast. I doubt anyone knows this, but yeah, I worked for 3 different startups. One I got fired from my second day, which was a crazy thing. I had taken a job, like a high-paying job, and they told me, I actually should say the company because I don't like them. The company was Ease, the weed delivery company, who worked out of Venice. Yeah, fuck those guys. In Venice. It's fun to talk shit about someone because I could care less. I could care less if the word gets back to them because they fired me on my second day because they didn't tell me my schedule. They said we're still figuring out what the schedule is going to be. And I get there and they say, you're working nights. You're on the night shift. You're working from like 3 p.m. to like midnight. And I was like, I'm doing stand-up. I'm a comedian. And they were like, oh, huh. And then they were like, let's think about it and come back the next day. And I came back the next day and I was going to just deal with it and like job hunt. And they were like, so you've lost the trust of the team and we're letting you go. And they fired me and it was like brutal.
And it's surprising that you even had trust at that.
Yeah, why they trust me with? They trusted me already? Yeah, I was going to be like, well, it's kind of like a high level job. I'd worked pretty hard to get this like really good job. And so they were like, we can't. He's not like committed basically, but just the way they did it was so brutal. I was just like, they didn't like try to work with me on anything. They were just like, you're out of here. Like,
right.
No way.
They're like, he has boundaries.
Exactly.
He has healthy
How dare
boundaries.
You? This is what sucks about startups is they don't want people to have lives. They want you to be committed to work like 1,000%. And then ever since COVID, I have not had a real job since. So ever since then, I've been a comedian, and now look at me, torn in the country, figuring it out. Anyways, yes, if you want to do, here's my parting words for that question is if you ever want to be a comedian, I've never loved the struggling artist, starving artist thing where people will sleep on couches and I'm an artist, I have to, and they make like $12 a month, and they're a painter. I'm like, yeah, but you can also have a job and make money. And fund your creativity. Like that's the key phrase that's always stuck with me. Like my mom taught me that is you need to like fund your art. You need to be able to live and support yourself so you can create the art.
That's capitalism.
But what's the flip side? Is just you're only I'm doing open mics and broke.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what capitalism's built is that we have to like work and survive first and then we get to do the fun stuff.
I know. I think what I'm trying to say is that don't be afraid to work real jobs as you know, as you're chasing your dream. You know, don't be afraid to work real jobs. It's possible, especially if you're doing stand-up, because you can do it at night.
That's something I've noticed too with like a lot of creatives out in LA, especially like actors, where they like refuse to work a normal job because they think it's like beneath them. Of like, oh, I'm a creative now, like I need to be making money solely off of like X, Y, and Z, and then they're like, I can't be seen working at a Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of part of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do the fun stuff, you still gotta support yourself no matter what.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to work real jobs. We all did it. It's all part of it. Do a day, have a day job. Do stand up at night. You can do it. You'll be a little tired, but you can do it. Kalie, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
I have no thoughts.
You tired? You losing steam? Let's get out of here. Kalie, thanks for being here. I love you very much.
Me too.
Mike, thanks for producing. Snail, thanks for snoring in the background. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.